into high 80s and hitting the same thing. I was high 80s off machine, and now I'm able to put some balls out in the mid 90s.
JT's motivation to want to do it at home, be proactive in his baseball career, and we are able to do these things for him, and it's self-motivated, and he's taken that action. As a parent, you want to be able to say yes to something like that.
It's been making me feel much more confident. Like now going into the season, I feel I have all the ability I need, and I can just lay and trust that all the work I did will pay off.
Started working out. I was about 120, 115, about 160 now. I trusted it, and it worked. If you want to go get it, it's not going to come to you.
My EV was about 75 and my body weight was around 155, around that. Since I joined that, I'm up to almost 180 now, and I'm hitting 80s, around mid 80s.
How much more kind of committed he was and how much more confident he became in his own progress, instead of questioning himself about, am I doing the right thing or is this the right thing? So you could kind of see the stress level decrease a little bit, and then that energy could be focused on really all of the program aspects, right? Or his workouts.
Do that. If you could get on and do what you said day in, day out, it's amazing. Like a game changer.
Through your program, I just realized like how much more I could learn. I could just feel the improvement over the course like of 4 or 5 months, like you said. I could feel the improvement myself. With you being able to supply me with this type of structure, I'm able to just learn for myself and learn how to improve by myself, which makes me feel a lot better as well as a lot more accomplished in the end.
You can give him guidance and he can always ask questions to you. I could see how he became more confident after talking to you every time. You are always there when he needs. I think it's really important to know or be told from someone professional like you.
It was a completely new experience for us. I think we were skeptical. We dove into some of the content. We realized how good it was and the quality of it. The way that you kind of worked with him and you set expectations for him, like, hey, these are the things I'm expecting from you, and that was a big part of why we enjoyed the program as well.
The program has made me like a little eagerness to go out and do something and not just like wait for the team practice and do things on my own.
As his dad, I can tell him till I'm blue in the face that this needs to be done. And sometimes it doesn't resonate coming from the dad. Sometimes it needs to come from a pro ball player.
Through your program, I just realized like how much more I could learn. I could just feel the improvement over the course like of 4 or 5 months, like you said. With you being able to supply me with this type of structure, I'm able to just learn for myself and learn how to improve by myself, which makes me feel a lot better as well as a lot more accomplished in the end.
I definitely recommend joining it. It's awesome. The community's great. Having you there to support you is incredible, and overall love the program.
You get the full structure. You get your lifting, you get your arm velocity, you get your mechanics, you get your hitting, and the hands-on approach from you.
Infield velo was 68 or something like that. It was not good. My 60-yard dash was 7.7, which is not good either. And I was not very mobile. I wasn't very strong. I mean, I'm a big kid, but a lot of it was just like from my size, My infield velo now is 80, and my 6-yard dash is 70.
It's insane. What was the root cause for all that?
I mean, it was just staying consistent with the program. I think just I had to really stay on, like focus on the path that I was trying to get. You know what I'm saying? I was trying to become elite. I was trying to get better. I know the stats at the time. I was like, oh yeah, that's not that bad. But going back and looking, that's not where I should be to play at the next level. Staying consistent with the program really helped me through that time.
I feel like now I'm really like dialed in into what I'm doing. So when I do it, it's just like this before, like you talked about earlier. Like it's just coming in natural.
That felt good. I mean, it gave me my confidence shot up. I think you should join in. You do a really good job of replying back to messages, and you're really fast to help out other people with like coaching and their swings. You're a pretty good coach.
Hitting improved, touching improved, velocity went up, speed went up, everything in general went up. Before joining, I tracked my 60 time and I was running a 8.22, and then after a while I did a showcase and then I ran a 7.08.
What do you think the leading cause for that? That's crazy jump.
Probably mobility and probably the exercises that you have in your academy that allow for growth in those little tiny muscles that people forget about.
I could tell I was hitting the ball a little bit harder, and then it got better and better and better, and then my speed picked up with the sprinting training and all that, and I was just getting a lot better. But before that, it was not super good. I've definitely picked up on my hitting velo. Before I joined the program, my velo was 72 off the bat, and at this showcase, I hit 80.
That's insane, dude.
No, so when I first saw your program, you were talking about how to get to college and how to get D1 and get recruited and all this, and that had me super interested because I'm trying to go D1 and everything, trying to get a scholarship and all this, and your program definitely talks about it and helps you walk through it and get you started. Honestly, I would say like the program definitely helped me a lot. Helped me work through some things, get my visualization for games and all that, just get me prepared.
Obviously, like my program's remote. Like, have you had any trouble by doing the work that I provide you?
Not at all. It's right in front of you. So it's super easy to get. Search it up, find it, and start working.
Welcome Evan Mendoza to the program.
Cardinals third baseman Evan Mendoza.
Mendoza giving it a look, finds the railing and he tumbles over, but he made the catch. Unbelievable, Evan Mendoza.
Gran jugada en Evan Mendoza, dos joyas defensivas.
Evan Mendoza makes a great
Rounded up the middle. Mendoza throws off the shortstop. Mendoza field spins. Throw.
Mendoza throw to first in time. Wow, what a play by Evan Mendoza.
Short. Mendoza to second for one. Oh my word, you've got to be kidding.
Evan Mendoza.
For Mendoza.
Mendoza lifts one to left. An inning. Mendoza, that one's sailing back there, and it's gone.
Now, those are some of the plays and the insights of playing baseball at the highest level, not just posting about it. Now, let's flip the script. Here's what my students and families have to say about working with me.
Just share his stories of the kids asking him, what did you do? And his one answer was one word. Evan.
It's an overall great program to improve your metrics, mental approach, your velocity, and your outreaching strategies. Because there's a ton of players I know that are way better than me that had zero offers because they don't know how to reach out to coaches.
Pretty much every possible number would have gone up. I was high 70s and now I'm aiming for mid to high 80s and hitting the same thing. I was high 80s off machine and now I'm able to put some balls out in the mid 90s.
JT's motivation to want to do it at home, be proactive in his baseball career, and we are able to do these things for him, and it's self-motivated and he's taken that action. As a parent, you want to be able to say yes to something like that.
It's been making me feel much more confident. Like now going into the season, I feel I have all the ability I need and I can just play and trust that all the work I did will pay off.
Started working out. I was about 120, 115, about 160 now. I trusted it and it worked. If you want it, go get it. It's not going to come to you.
My EV was about 75 and my body weight was around 155, around that. Since I joined that, I'm up to almost 180 now and I'm hitting 80s, around mid 80s.
How much more kind of committed he was and how much more confident he became in his own progress, instead of questioning himself about, am I doing the right thing or is this the right thing? So you could kind of see the stress level decrease a little bit, and then that energy could be focused on really all of the program aspects, right? Or his workouts.
Do that. If you could get on and do what you said day in, day out, it's amazing. Like a game
Before we
changer.
get started, guys, one of my favorite things that I do every single day is hammer away at the one and only day counter. Today is day 11 of coffee and baseball, so hope everyone's having a great day today, guys. We're going to be going over a little bit of a presentation, I guess is what I can call it. This is something that I actually created a while ago, and yeah, guys, I really do enjoy being able to share some knowledge with you guys, and I want to be able to give you guys the best baseball educational experience possible, right? And what this comes down to is just making sure that you guys have this information easily accessible. So without further ado, guys, let's get this party on the road. We got some people over on Facebook, we got some people over on YouTube, we got some people over on Instagram as well. Guys, if you at any point in time want to ask any specific questions whatsoever about baseball, feel free to drop them down below in the chat. But I'm going to go over, like I said, a pretty oldie but a goodie as far as what I would be looking for if I was a college baseball recruiter, which, by the way, guys, I am not a college baseball recruiter. I'm not a college baseball coach. I am none of that. I played 7 years of professional baseball experience between the St. Louis Cardinals and the San Diego Padres. So I want to be able to share that knowledge with you guys, and being able to just kind of kick it back and make sure that you guys know who I am, what I am, and definitely what I am not. So I'm going to tell you exactly what I would be looking for. Let's actually make this a little bit smaller so that way I'm not in the way. All right. Cool. All right. So I'm going to be telling you exactly what I would be looking for in a player if I was recruiting for a college today. And by the way, I have talked with some college coaches, not necessarily gotten to the stage of becoming a college baseball coach or an assistant coach or a recruiter or anything like that. But I have some belief that, throughout my 10 years beyond high school baseball, I have a pretty good instinct that I would probably be a decent college baseball coach. So let's get into it. In this video, I'm going to share what I would look for
if I was a recruiter for a college baseball program, and just to set the record straight though, guys, I am not a college baseball coach or a college recruiter for any specific university, but I do have 7 years of professional baseball experience under my belt between the St. Louis Cardinals and the San Diego Padres. I really love that picture of me with the Cardinals. That was, I believe, the very first day I got some custom kicks. And as you can see, those Jordans, I think, are pretty smooth looking. They're pretty fresh with the teal. That was, I think, the first year that we brought the baby blues back. That was in like 2019, I think. And then over there on the right, you see me with the Padres. But I also attended NC State University for 3 years, and I've had multiple conversations with coaching staffs at D1, Power 3, Power 4 schools about the whole college recruiting process. This is just, again, one person's opinion. This is not everyone's opinion. This is not the truth. I'm just going to share my truth as far as what I would be looking for in baseball players. And there are a million different factors, right? I'm just going to say 100 factors that go into the process of recruiting a specific player. So I think it's just really important to keep that in mind. That would play into the decision of making offer to certain individuals, and again, putting scholarship money behind these certain individuals. And I've really narrowed it down to the 5 major things that I would personally be looking for. So first and foremost, the aggressiveness of a certain player. I think this is something that's way underlooked for most high school baseball programs and high school baseball coaches, but that's typically why high school baseball coaches are high school baseball coaches. So that aggressiveness out there on the field, I think it's something that you have in your DNA. It's just something that I believe isn't necessarily even taught, especially in the game of baseball. Like, yes, in football, you can be taught how to run through a brick wall, so to speak. But in baseball, you have to have some feel to have that aggressiveness, to know when to be aggressive. And it's something that a player understands when to use it throughout the flow of the game. So obviously there's ups and downs of the game. There's times when you're behind. There's times when you're ahead. There's times where it's okay to be aggressive and you're wrong and you get thrown out, whatever. And then there's going to be times where, it's in your best interest, of course, to limit that aggressiveness. So is it smart to be aggressive when you're up or down runs like I just said? No, right? Is it smart to be aggressive when you're leading off an inning and swing at the first pitch after your team has been on defense for the past half hour? Probably not, right? So there are flows of the game that tell me if a good player is a great player, and the individuals who understand the game to a deeper level. So this is really like that baseball IQ, and the individuals who also understand their aggression, right? So obviously Acuna is one of those guys where he knows where to turn that light switch on as far as overall just like that aggressiveness. We got top 0. We got I'm a 13U catcher. I might be a top 50 player in the country, definitely top 100. I just need to get ranked. Any tips and get recruited at a high level. So when you're 13, I wouldn't be focused too much on rankings and everything like that, dude. The ranking systems, don't buy into it. There's plenty of players that get overlooked that aren't ranked that will play at a very, very high level, even professional baseball. So I do want to give you guys a quick little story time. So how I impressed the big league coaching staff for both the St. Louis Cardinals and the San Diego Padres. So if you don't listen to this story and like take action on how you develop and how you prepare, shame on you. So back in 2019, I was called into a spring training game to back up Paul Goldschmidt when he was with the Cardinals. I think he just got traded over, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe that was Arenado. But no, yeah, so Paul Goldschmidt, no, he was with the Yankees last year, right? It's a brain fog right now. It's the off season, guys. We're getting back into spring training here in a couple months, but I got called in to back up Paul Goldschmidt, who could be a potential Hall of Famer. I think he's one of the most underlooked at players just because he's more quiet. But we were playing against the Philadelphia Phillies in Clearwater in spring training in Florida, and this was a pretty fun story. So listen up, guys. It was a tie game. It was 1-1 going into the 8th inning, and I remember I came up to the plate. and I just beat out an infield single. It wasn't anything crazy. I'm pretty sure I got jammed, and I hit like a little nubber to the third baseman, and the third baseman was playing me extremely deep, and I was able to beat out an infield single, which typically didn't really happen for me. And since there was 2 outs when I came up to the plate, there's 2 outs. Think about this. It was a tie game, 1-1. I beat out an infield single. Who cares? You know, if there's 2 outs, typically speaking, that runner is never going to score, typically speaking, right? And I was the base runner, so I understood since the batter that was up, he got down 0-2 immediately. So I'm the base runner at first base. I take my lead, I take my secondary, strike 1. It was a fastball. I take my lead, I take my secondary, strike 2. Let's be honest, guys. If it's spring training and you go 0-2 right away on 2 fastballs, what do you think is going to happen as far as what do you think the next pitch is going to be? Well, for me, I was like, well, this is pretty obvious. It's going to be a breaking ball, probably in the dirt. It's going to be a pitch, probably not in the strike zone. They're either going to go fastball up, and I'll obviously recognize that, or what I'm anticipating is a dirt ball read. And if you don't know what a dirt ball read, it's anticipating that the ball is basically going to bounce on the plate, making the catcher drop to his knees, block the pitch. And for those that don't know, if you're a catcher, you try to block a pitch coming in at 87 miles an hour, and it bounces off your chest. Then you have to get up off of your knees onto your feet, pick up the ball, and throw it to second base. That's pretty difficult. So I had a gut feeling that the pitcher was going to throw a curveball in the dirt, and I anticipated that. And when I saw it come true right before my eyes, I took action on it, and of course, I was prepared for it. And because I understood how to control that aggression, I only anticipated that aggression was ready for the dirt to be able to take those the next base, right? That is a dirt ball read. So now I'm on second base. I slid in, and the very next pitch, the batter hits an RBI single right up the middle. I remember it comes off the bat. It was Max Schrock. It came up the middle, and it almost hit me, but basically a line drive single to center field. And of course, with 2 outs, I got a really good jump, and I scored. Now we take the lead going into the 9th inning and win the game. And by the way, this was a game that I'm pretty sure that Jack Flaherty threw I'm pretty sure it was 6 innings in a spring training game and struck out no joke, 12. It was insane. So coming into the dugout, this was the cool part of the story. And after scoring, I'll never forget Mike Schilt, he just, I think, became the manager of the Orioles after his retirement thing, right? He was so impressed on how I did that dirt ball read. And he was like, Mendy, how in the world did you do that dirt ball read? You got such a good jump. Teach me how you were taught. And I said, oh, and he knows because he's a North Carolina guy, just like mine. I was very proud to say, NC State taught me. And he said, yeah, I get that. But how did you get taught? What drills did you do? Because I want to implement that for all of our players, because I want all of our teams to do that as well as you just did that. And it really was an eye-opening experience that, of course, this is the unity of being in the big leagues. You want to make sure that everyone is progressing the way that one player does one thing great. We want the whole unit to do it great. So the very next day, I went through my thought process in front of guys like Paul Goldschmidt, Randy Arozarena, Adolis Garcia on what I was thinking in the base path. And I'll never forget, this was at George Steinbrenner Stadium in Tampa, basically where the Rays played last year. We were in the visiting clubhouse in the kitchen, and that's where we did ball talk. And basically ball talk, for those that don't know, we talk about baseball, the game of the previous day. So basically we were just talking about the highlights, what went well, what went bad. Obviously we were excited. Also, I was excited because later that night after that Phillies game, Paul Goldschmidt, this was 2 or 3 days after he signed a $170 million extension. So he took the entire team out to, or everyone that was traveling at least, to Texas de Brazil, and we had an absolute feast in the private dining section. So basically we were in the kitchen. I was just sitting there kind of scared. I'm a little rookie over here. And, Mike Schilt, he's like, okay, and Mendy's dirt ball. Everyone saw that, right? And everyone's like, yeah, great job. And they kind of clapped for me. And I was like, holy cow, that's pretty cool. And then he was like, all right, Mendy. And this was Mike Schilt. He was like, what did you do? And I was like, yeah, I just anticipated the dirt ball, got down 0-2, was ready for it. He's like, yeah. But what did you see in that moment? Well, I saw the ball come out of his hand in my peripheral. I wasn't focusing on that, but I was focusing more 3/4 of the way down to home plate, and I saw the trajectory coming down. I saw it start to bite, and I just trusted my instincts, especially after he got down 0-2 on 2 fastballs. Like, I was ready to go. And they're like, wow, really good. Yeah, I looked up, and this is what Schilt told me. He was like, I looked up, and you were already sliding into second base. Like, that was incredible. And he's like, how did you get that great of a read? And basically, he mentioned, he was like, yeah, we all want to be aggressive like that, because that's basically what won us the game. And that's what won us the game against the Phillies. And I remember also that's right after Bryce Harper signed his extension with the Phillies, which is a pretty cool story. So that experience was crazy for me. Like, first thing, I was anxious talking in front of that group, but also guys like Paul Goldschmidt were learning from me. It was a really cool experience, right? So to wrap up that story, that aggression that I had and what was prepared for helped me create a positive impact and first impression really on the big league coaching staff for both the St. Louis Cardinals. And then later, the same exact thing happened in spring training of 2023 with the San Diego Padres. The very same exact thing. And funny enough, Mike Schilt was the bench coach of the Padres, and basically the same exact thing happened. So let's talk about it. Next up, attitude. If I was a college baseball recruiter, what would I be looking for? Number 2, good attitude, right? College coaches that aren't really serious about certain players will watch them in front from the second that they really get out of their car, and they get out of their car right after the game, right? And they will want to watch what kind of person they are, how they treat their parents, things like that, and how you interact, again, with your parents and inside the dugout with your teammates, if you're picking up your teammates, if you're giving your teammates high five. If I had to go through the whole college recruiting process again, though, I would personally pretend like there's a surveillance camera on me 24/7, right? It just makes sense. If we have that idea of, okay, there's a camera on us, we're going to make sure that obviously we want to be best prepared for these college coaches. We also want to make sure that it's always pretending like it's recording. And if I slip up, if I do something arrogant, we're seeing it with Framer Valdez, with the Astros, how he crossed up his catcher, and everyone saw it, and this was obviously in the public spotlight after he gave up a home run. He crossed up his catcher on purpose, right? That's not going to look good for you. So if I slip up, my chances of playing college baseball would diminish. So I really felt very constricted. Wasn't the best way of going about it, but and that definitely translated over to my performance. Sometimes my performance felt constricted too. And if I was not going to let that happen when I was in high school, I just simply was not going to let that happen, right? So I made sure to go about my work and preparation for the game the right way. And I wasn't there just to have fun, and that's where I kind of went about it the wrong way, in my opinion. I should have had that fun priority, and then everything else would have come later. But I was there to tell everyone in attendance that I'm about to be a pro baseball player in my career. That's the way that I really held my own. That's the way that I wanted to go about my business. So if you're a serious baseball player, you want to go about your business in a professional manner. And that includes your attitude towards your coaches, your teammates, and your parents and family. So next stop, your work ethic. If I was a college baseball recruiter, number 3, the thing that I would look for is your work ethic. And this is probably the number 1 topic when college coaches reach out to to high school coaches to ask about a certain player. As you can imagine, high school baseball players are going to be contacting college coaches, and then college coaches are going to communicate with the high school coach to understand what kind of player they are and what his work ethic is like in the gym, what kind of person he is, what kind of student athlete is. Of course, student coming first. And this is the number 1 question that sums it up, and will either make that conversation very short with that high school coach or a much longer, detailed conversation, of course, trying to grab some information about that specific player. And since these college coaches won't be able to see you every single day, they heavily rely on the opinions of those high school coaches or maybe the area scouts of the specific area, for the pro scouts, to be able to get a gauge on that player, on if they're about their business or not. So what does your work ethic really look like? And are you a hard worker? Do you want to play past high school? Are you going above and beyond? I love that graphic. And are you putting in more work than everyone else? I remember when I first got injured, I broke my wrist in AAA when I was with the Cardinals. And I read Kobe Bryant's book, The Mamba Mentality. And there definitely psychological, warfare will happen in between your ears if you don't have a mental framework to follow along, right? And obviously Kobe's mental frameworks were very, very strong because he lived it. He put that work in. He knew what he was doing. He knew what he was about, and he knew what he was going to take. And that's why he was able to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and get 3 workouts in, not just your typical 2 a day, because he understood that exponential growth that he could do if he just simply sacrificed some sleep. So he was on another level, and of course, that's why he got the results that not many people got. So are you taking practice serious? Are you taking the gym serious? Are you taking, your mobility, your flexibility, your stretching before practice seriously, or are you just kind of catching up with your teammates about the video game session last night? And are you taking your development seriously? And if you are and you'd like to work with me, guys, head over to MendozABaseballAcademy.com. It's the link in my bio. Learn a little bit more about the triple play, and we can get started as soon as possible as far as scheduling out that eligibility review. The best way to summarize your work ethic, though, is you are in point A. And, is a showcase, your sophomore year, let's say you throw 80 miles an hour, right? Point B is a showcase your senior year. Let's say you throw 81 miles an hour. This isn't obvious that you don't really have that true work ethic to be able to have a plan, reevaluate where your current progress is, and based off of those metrics, make adjustments. So it shows that these college coaches that you don't really know how to improve. In summer, you don't know how to problem solve because, for example, my freshman year, I ran a 9.5 second 60. Once I realized I was the second slowest at that specific showcase, I told myself, okay, time to get after it, time to be more athletic, time to figure this out, right? Because if I didn't figure it out, there'd be other players that did, right? And ultimately, baseball players need to become great problem solvers. So if you're not improving, let's say my senior year, I'm running a 9.2 second 60 instead of a 9.5, it's just a huge red flag, right? So stop number 4 on this list of if I was a college baseball recruiter is physically and mentally mature, right? Mentally mature is different, of course, than the physical side of things, but maturity is something that these college coaches really require out of you because you are going to be away from home. You're going to be the one doing the work, transporting yourself, making sure that you wake up on your alarm, get to class, things like that, get your homework done, etc. So if you're always, goofing off, laughing, joking around, yes, you can be that type of person, but of course, understand where those limits lie. And college coaches will view this as a potential distraction. Not saying that it's like a guarantee, right? Again, in the beginning of this, guys, I talked to you about it. This is just one person's opinion. This is not exactly how everything works. So even if you have all the talent in the world, yes, it's important to enjoy the game that you are playing, right? It is okay to have a good time. But understand when that good time is also very important. And also, if you're physically not mature, in baseball terms, you don't pass the eye test. The eye test, I don't know if it'll go into, but basically eye test is how well you wear your jersey, right? How well the jersey fits you. So Power 5 baseball programs will not take you serious unless you fit the mold, right? Usually, and this is just like bland vanilla answers, which I kind of hate giving you guys. Of course, that's where if you guys ask a question, whether you're on Instagram, if you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube right now, we're streaming all 3 right now, guys. Feel free to ask any baseball specific questions so that way I can tailor that specific answer to you rather than giving you a vanilla answer like saying, if you're around 6 foot, 180 pounds, you can play college baseball, right? That's just the very backbone of what college coaches will want to see. Not saying that it's completely impossible. One of my students that just actually joined into the academy last night, he's 6'2", 165 pounds, and runs a 6.5 second 60. So he's a little bit lighter, but because he's lighter, he's also able to run a 6.5 second 60, guys. 6.5. That's incredibly fast. So that's really at the minimum. So if you are physically, basically you have to ask yourself, are you physically maturing in the gym? Or are you mindlessly going to the gym without a structured plan that you can follow and trust? So because if you are leading yourself into a revolving door or constantly asking yourself the question, why am I not getting better? Why am I not able to basically break through a certain plateau? So if you want to start following gym workout programs that are safe for your shoulder, for your elbow, that are baseball specific, so that way you can start to see results on the field, head over to MendozABaseballAcademy.com to apply to work with me. It's a link in my bio. And inside my academy, I give my students structured workout programs every single month. They're actually written by a New York Mets strength and conditioning coach to ensure that they have a reliable path they need for success, especially in the gym. So again, head over to MendozABaseballAcademy.com. It's a link in my bio. So let's move on to the last but not least, number 5, talent. And as you guys can tell in my list, as far as what I would be looking for as far as if I was a college baseball coach, guys, talent is really like the last one because the talent is the area where most high school baseball players have some level of talent. And talent's only going to get you a certain level, right? We need to understand how we can make that talent into we're the elite. And talent's not going to make you elite. The work ethic's going to make you the elite. Being physically mature is going to make you elite. Making sure that you're mentally mature is going to make you elite. Making sure that your academics and everything, that's going to make you even more elite, right? So talent is only going to get you so far, but of course there are certain areas where you can just look at a player and be like, man, he's talented. But now what does his work ethic look like? Is he physically mature? What's his attitude like, right? So yes, you have to be talented in the game, and you have to be able to do stuff on the field that impresses these college coaches in the first place, right? If you're not turning heads, you're quite literally going to, turn into that player where they're hitting batting practice, and these college coaches are going to think to themselves, oh, this is a good opportunity for me to, check my email, right? We don't want to be hitting batting practice, and because our batting practice is so not impressive, these college coaches are just checking on their phone. Oh yeah, I'm going to check my email, right? That's not a good look because you're not turning those heads. So if you don't have the talent, it will be extremely hard for you to level up. It will be an uphill battle and play college baseball. So talent really equals the time multiplied by the work, right? Because the time you put into something, let's just say that you put 1 hour into hitting, and that work that you put in, let's just say it's a level 10. So you put a hard amount of work, you're working extremely hard, but just for 1 hour, it's going to probably equate to let's just say 1 on the talent scale. Now, if you put in like 1 million hours, and let's say you only work at like a 5 out of 10, right? You're not balls to the wall, but you're still because that time of 1 million hours multiplied by that 5, your talent's going to be a lot higher because you're putting in more work. So the more talent we have means the longer we've done something and the more work that we're putting in. So some high school baseball players barely have been putting in work for 10 years. You do have to think about this. High school baseball players sometimes put in work that they don't even realize that they're doing. And maybe it's just a short amount of time. Some baseball players are out there in high school are just now working hard every single day for the past month. Now think about who's going to get the results and who's going to get basically the results of what they're trying to look for. So, which also results in not much talent. So be patient in these development years, because guys, in high school baseball development, you need to understand how to go about it. And the skill isn't going to happen overnight. A lot of people will wait and panic until their junior or senior year because they're uncommitted, they're undersized, and they're waiting until the last minute to get structure in what they are doing. But if you stay consistent and show it for a long period of time, this development compounds day after day after day after week after month after year, and then it's like, okay, junior year rolls around, you're pretty elite, right? On the other hand, you haven't been taking your gym work and skill work seriously. You start your junior year and then you're wondering why you're behind the 8 ball. So consistently working hard each and every day, you will have the possibility of play in college and beyond. And most importantly, you will get noticed by college coaches and recruiters that much easier, right? P.S. guys, if I was a college recruiter, which I am not, I would want a player that wins or loses with respect and dignity. That is an area that I think is just like no one really wants to talk about, but from first-hand experience, all 5 of the things we covered helped me get recruited by NC State and play professional baseball for the 7 years that I did. So if you like learning from me and you are currently in high school, or if you're a parent of a high school baseball player and you want your son to land a college scholarship, head over to the link in my bio to get started today. Guys, that was a great little slide deck that I wanted to share with you guys. It was an oldie but a goodie. But now what I'm going to go ahead and do, just because I want to make sure that this is as valuable as possible, guys, I'm going to answer any specific questions that you guys have and make sure that you guys understand what you need, right? At the end of the day, like, it's what you need. It's not what I need. We are on day 11, which is super exciting. As far as Coffee and Baseball, we're streaming every single day for 50 straight days, 11 a.m. Eastern time. If you are not able to attend these lives in the entirety, you can always go back to our YouTube and watch the full recording there. That's my recommendation, by the way, is if you're not able to join in here on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube, just head over to my YouTube page. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to put the bell notification on so that way you get those resources given to you. But let's get started, guys. Any baseball related questions? I know that there was a few, so I'm gonna go ahead and scroll up and make sure that you guys burp for my coffee. All right. Any baseball related questions? I'm going to start off with, if recruiting ended today, that's a bummer if it did, would you feel good about the way you handled it? Well, I don't know. I'm not sure if that really makes sense because, like, I already went through the college recruiting process, guys. I already played D1 baseball. I already played professional baseball. So, like, I'm not too worried about if, you know, recruiting ended today because I've already done those things. All right. Let's record this one because I think this is an important one. What would success actually look like for our son? So great question, and especially inside my program, what we're really using success as a criteria is not for scholarship money, right? No one, you know, like everyone wants the scholarship money without a doubt. And that is an area where people, and especially parents, kind of view that as the success criteria. But in my reality, in what I'm trying to do is put these bricks on top of each other. So that way, this consistency will equal growth for your son. Ideally, the growth and the habits, you know, that we are trying to achieve inside the mentorship program is what my success criteria will really look like. So the habits of staying consistent, the habits of also like making sure that we take that ownership, because we want to own our baseball journey. And I think when doing like private lessons one time a week, we don't truly own our development. We don't own our recruiting strategy. We don't own any of that. We just expect someone else to do it for us. And that's, in my mind, the wrong mentality. So in my opinion, yes, we are trying to get like some scholarship money, but it's not the most important. If anything, it's way down here. First and foremost, I think it's, you know, really growing and developing young men, right? Because these high school baseball players are teenagers. Yes, they need a little bit more guidance, maybe on, you know, prioritization of, you know, their schoolwork. Maybe it's understanding time management skills. These are conversations that I have with my students each and every day. So that's, in my opinion, what success looks like for all of my students. Hopefully that makes sense, guys. But if you guys have any baseball related questions, I think I see Gavin in here once again. Nice to see you. We have Atticus, we got B. Gray, we got Lane, we got Tyler, we got Cody, we got Everett, Luca, Bowden. Guys, if you have any baseball related questions, we got Reed in here as well. Or no, Redbeard. I thought it was Reed. So yeah, guys, if you have any baseball related questions, feel free to ask. We're doing another live. This is day 11 of Coffee and Baseball. We're going to just go ahead and answer questions. And if you guys have any baseball related questions, feel free to ask them down below in the chat. Willis, thanks for joining in. What would a college coach criticize first if they were honest? Cool, that's a good one. All right, what would a college coach criticize first if they were honest? In my opinion, it's not necessarily like the current talent, right? Because current talent is obvious. Your 60 time, your arm velocity, your exit velocity, it's obvious, but it's not necessarily the talent or the metrics really. It's really the work ethic. The work ethic is the area where it's obvious that a specific high school baseball player has not prepared for a showcase, a tournament, a camp. And this is the area where, like, if I was brutally honest with certain individuals that I see highlight film of, it's just like, come on, what are we doing each and every day to achieve this level of competition? Because if you are a high school baseball player and if your exit velocity is 60 miles an hour, 70 miles an hour, what are we doing to expand on that? What are we doing to grow that exit velocity? What are we doing to basically get into that mid 90s where we really should be anywhere between sophomore and senior year, right? If we're a freshman, maybe we can get away with having like an 85 mile an hour exit velocity. But really, if I was brutally honest and if I was a college baseball recruiter, I would hit on that work ethic and kind of just tell you straight, you're not working hard enough. You're not working nearly as hard enough. And there is that second, third, fourth gear of hard work, of what your perception of hard work is. So if there's a high school baseball player out there listening to this video right now, you do have that second gear, you do have that third gear, and I promise you, you are not going to die. You are going to put that work in, you are going to develop, and yes, you might have to sacrifice hanging out with your friends, you might have to sacrifice video games, you might have to sacrifice screen time, but is that sacrifice worth being the best baseball player you can possibly be? Because at the end of the day, what you do today will matter the most, because what we do today will basically allow us to do things tomorrow that other players will not be able to do. So it really truly is a sacrifice. And speaking from experience, when I was in high school, I made that sacrifice, and I was able to achieve things that a lot of my high school teammates were not able to achieve. So just keep that in mind. All right. He said, not going to die. I mean, it is true, guys. Like, I think some high school baseball players, we talk about this component of, like, we can't do things. We can't work out more. We can't do this. We can't do that. And in my opinion, it's like, just do it one day and see what's going to happen. Because more than likely, like, you're not going to die, right? And hopefully, like, Instagram doesn't cut me out for saying that. But you're not. Like, we need to have that mindset of, like, okay, what if I do a week of extra work? So let's just say, like, an hour and a half of extra hitting, an hour and a half of extra throwing, an hour and a half of extra gym work or sprint work or conditioning. What's really going to happen? If anything, like, and maybe because I'm getting a little bit older, I'm approaching 30, guys, but maybe you're just going to sleep a little bit better, right? Like, and maybe you're going to be tired where you hit the pillow and instead of scrolling on your phone, because you don't have the mental capacity to scroll on your phone, because you just physically exerted so much energy that when you hit that pillow, you're going to be asleep. Like, is that the worst thing that's going to happen if we put in extra work? Like, really, is that the worst thing that's going to happen? Anyway, these are just some things that I think about constantly. And I want to make sure that you guys have, like, that understanding that, like, come on, it's not that big of a deal to do that extra work in. And I think a lot of people, oh my goodness. All right, let's talk about burnout real quick, because burnout is something that a lot of parents will especially think that their son will hit this level of burnout if they do that extra 1 hour of work every single day. And I can almost promise you guys, if you do that extra 1 hour of work, maybe you'll just sleep better at night. Maybe you'll just not have that energy to be able to scroll on your phone. This is basically the byproduct of doing a little bit more physical work. And I promise you, burnout only happens when there's a lack of passion. And if your son is passionate about baseball and you're a parent talking about burnout, first and foremost, we're probably not going to get along, because if you want to achieve amazing, great things, especially at the most elite levels in the game of baseball, if you want to be that 1%, you better not even bring up burnout to me, because I'm going to probably fist fight you. Because if you want to achieve great things, guys, you have to do things that most people won't want to do. And if you're already in this mental frame of, my son's going to burn out if he does extra work, you're already putting him in a situation of potentially losing. Yes, he can do the very bare minimum, but more than likely, if he does the bare minimum, this is what the growth might look like. You know, here's the X and Y axis. That's the growth, right? Well, if that's what the team is doing, and you are only doing what the team is doing, and you're not doing any of that extra work, you're probably going to develop just as quick as most of your teammates. So how do we really separate ourselves? We have to do that extra work. And with that extra work, that is the separation between the good and great players. Hopefully that answered that question, because I think that's an actual great piece of content for you guys. With social media nowadays, like, I want to be able to share those mindset hacks, to be able to give you guys that understanding that, like, you need to be able to figure out that way to be able to separate yourself. And if you're never separating yourself, you're never putting that extra work in, like, how can we really expect to be better than the competition? How can we really expect to be having different conversations of, like, oh, why is that guy getting more playing time? Oh, high school is so political. It's like, it probably isn't. It's probably just that, like, you could probably be putting more work in and you're not. And you're probably in this mindset of, oh, I might burn out if I do an extra hour of work. It's like, no, you're not. No, you're not. All right, let's do some more. By the way, guys, ask questions. That's what I'm here for. I want to make sure that this live is tailored to you guys. I'm going to be live for about 25 more minutes, and that way I can make sure that I hit all of your guys' questions. Also, one thing I wanted to do, and I changed up some of the settings, I wanted to make sure that the latency was a little bit less. So that way, if you ask a question, I'm able to respond to it as soon as possible, so there's not as much of a delay. So hopefully that should help you guys. Great question. My son is quiet and he's not great at communicating with college baseball coaches. How big of a problem is that? So if your son is quiet, let's redo that. I didn't like that. Let's redo that. All right, great question. My son is quiet and not great at communicating with college coaches. How big of a problem is that? So if your son is quiet, right, and he's reserved, he's not much of a self-promoter, he doesn't want to be loud or obnoxious, that's totally fine. In my experience, like, I was pretty shy. I didn't really talk a lot in high school. I was the quiet kid more times than not, and that's what a lot of players and teammates of mine knew me as, especially classmates as well. So as far as being quiet, there's nothing wrong with that, but there is a point in time where you need to showcase that you're able to break out of that shell. There were some teammates of mine, by the way, in professional baseball at the highest level with the Cardinals and Padres that were extremely quiet, and I thought I was quiet, right? It's important to understand, though, like, what times is it important to be talkative and to become that talkative player for the rest of your team, right? For example, if you strike out swinging, you're not going to be super excited, but if the player, in the hole is asking, about what the pitch mix was or what the shape of the slider was or what he threw you at that last pitch, you need to be able to communicate those things with your teammate. Also, another thing is calling off, outfielders, right? If you're thinking about like a shallow fly ball that's really the shortstop's ball and the left fielder is calling it and then you get under it and you wave your hands, well, just doing the hand thing isn't going to work. You need to be able to be very vocal and be, I got it, right? So there are certain times in the game of baseball where that you need to be a little bit more loud, a little bit more vocal. But as far as talking to to college coaches and making sure that we're able to communicate that is part of the responsibility and part of that ownership of that journey, right? If we're not able to talk baseball with these college coaches, they do recruit players that have personalities, that have abilities to speak the game. Those things matter in the whole college recruiting process. So I'm not going to say it's the most important thing because I felt like I wasn't necessarily the most vocal guy in the world when I was going through the whole college recruiting process, but it is something that college coaches will grade your son on. Yeah, I don't know if that's something that a lot of you guys are. Anthony, welcome in. Anthony, if you have any baseball-related questions, feel free to ask. Same thing with Laura. Same thing with T. Morgan, BL Boulevard, Buck, Joey, anyone that has any baseball-related questions, James, Christian, Bobby. If you have any baseball-related questions, feel free to ask. I love doing these lives. I am doing lives every single day at 11 a.m. Eastern time, so if you have any baseball-related questions, feel free to ask. This is quite literally the time to ask me any questions, whether it's about baseball development, whether it's about mindset, whether it's about recruiting. We do have some other questions in the chat already, and I want to make sure I'm hitting those, but I also want to make sure that it's very important that you guys get your questions answered as well. All right, this is a solid one. If the season doesn't go well, what happens next? So like if we don't have good metrics, if we don't have good stats about our high school season, like what should we really do, right? Because there are options at the end of the day when you have bad stats. And by all means, like bad stats aren't the end all be all. There were times where I would have professional teammates at the highest level of AA, AAA, even in the big leagues. I remember seeing it to some of my buddies that got called up. Is like they would hit the ball on a line 105 miles an hour consistently, right to the shortstop, right to the second baseman, right back to the pitcher. And some people's luck throughout a season, it was atrocious, guys. It was atrocious. And that is part of the game. But if we talk about the component of being consistent and doing what we can do as far as controlling the controllables, like it's not so much about your high school season stats. Like, yes, college coaches will want to see that you're able to hit 300-400 in high school ball because usually the competition in high school ball isn't as good as travel, right? Typically travel ball is going to be a little bit better as far as competition. So that's just one thing that we will always want to keep in mind. But really, if you have a bad season as far as your stats, just make sure that your stats don't outweigh your metrics, right? We don't want that. We want our metrics, if anything, to outweigh our stats. Because if we're throwing the ball 93 miles an hour, but we have like a 4 ERA in high school, which in my opinion is pretty bad, right? If you're in high school, you shouldn't be having a 4 ERA. Like, the 4 ERA, in my opinion, doesn't really matter. I think what matters a lot more is your fastball to 93 miles an hour. Is that more of a run? Is that more of a ride? These are the things that college coaches are going to be more curious on, rather than like, oh, he had a 4 ERA, right? Those things don't matter as much. Same thing with like, exit velocity. If you have like a 105 EV, that's going to matter more than you hitting 220. I don't know why I put a dot right there. It's going to matter a lot more than you hitting 220, right? So make sure that we understand that metrics will outweigh stats, but let's make sure that that happens, right? If, let's just say, you hit 220 on the season, you had a pretty bad junior year, and your EV is 83 as a junior, these are the areas that college coaches will kind of raise their red flag and probably not necessarily communicate with you as much as you'd like, right? So these are just some thought processes that I have to hopefully help you guys out. And if, again, guys, if you have any baseball related questions, feel free to ask them down below in the chat. That's why I do this. I am live over on Facebook. I am live over on YouTube. Guys, if you're not able to join in for the entire live, these lives are hosted and recorded and published over on YouTube. So make sure to subscribe over on my YouTube channel. That way you guys get the notifications that I'm going live, so you don't miss out on any future ones. And also make sure to follow me here on Instagram as well if you haven't already. You can also turn those like bell notifications on, if that's right. Ooh, okay, great question. Let's record this one. All right, my son is debating either a D2 where he's going to play or possibly a lower level D1 program where he might not be able to play. So great question. So this is the common question, D1 or D2. I think a lot of parents especially put themselves into this bucket of very black and white. D2 for sure equal playtime. D1 for sure equal bench. And in my opinion, that is a terrible mindset going into the college recruiting process, going into possibly landing those offers, possibly going into a visit, possibly stepping foot on campus, having this mindset that, oh shoot, I'm at a Power 4 school, I just committed, I'm probably going to ride the bench. Having that mindset, in my opinion, is a pretty much like losing mentality. Also the losing mentality of thinking it's a guarantee that just because you went to a D2 program and you had D1 offers, you are guaranteed to play. In my opinion, that is a terrible mindset, because what really matters when you step foot on campus is your work ethic, how you get after it, and also how you, at the end of the day, perform, right? You need to perform to be able to equate that to playing time. Whether you're at D1, D2, D3, NAIA, JUCO, guys, it does not matter what level you're at. The playing time is always going to be a reflection on how you perform in practice, in preseason, in scrimmages, and that's what's going to give these these college baseball coaches that clarity, that trust that it requires to put you into the lineup. So hopefully that gave you guys some clarity, especially because that is a common question, guys. I don't know why it's as common of a question as it is, but I think it's just like the understanding that, yes, the transfer portal is becoming that much more competitive. Yes, there are so many other factors with, holy cow, guys, NIL. Who in the chat has heard about NIL? Who has heard about NIL? For those that don't know, that's name, image, and likeness. Who has heard about NIL? Give me like a raise of hands, because I am interested to hear where your guys' mindset is on NIL. If you've heard of any teammates that have earned NIL opportunities, I'm really curious on that, because this is an area that I'm getting into with very, very secluded group of my athletes, where they're a little bit more interested on the social media side. Redbeard, okay, I appreciate your input and also your attendance. It seems like every single day you're in here, which I always appreciate, to make sure that we're giving you guys as much great content as possible. But yeah, guys, as far as the aspect of being with the name, image, and likeness, well, first off, I want to share with you guys, like, there is money to be made. Brucey, awesome. Yeah, there's money to be made in college baseball, not really only just recruiting, but in the NIL opportunities. And the cool thing about NIL, you don't have to be again, NIL is the subject. You don't have to be like the best player on the team. You don't have to have the best metrics. You don't have to have the best EV, arm velo, 60 time. You don't have to have the most money or the most playing time. These are the things that you don't have to have to achieve NIL greatness out there, right? With what I know about social media today, if I was going through the college recruiting process, I would want NIL to be a factor into the recruiting process for myself. Now, with that being said, NIL will never be more important than performance and basically production if you're a high school baseball player, and of course your production as far as your performance out there on the field, producing to achieve wins for that specific college baseball program. But let's talk about NIL real quick, because NIL is, in my opinion, a direct correlation with social media. If you are posting on Instagram, let's just dumb it down, guys. You should be posting on Instagram, right? Instagram will get you the most eyeballs for college coaches, of brands, of middle school players that want to become you one day. Maybe you just share your experiences, your journey. You document that journey just like you would be writing into a journal, right? Use social media like that, and that's where your NIL opportunities will start to graduate or start to grow, right? And by the way, NIL opportunities are things like Oakley for me. I've received back here, you probably can't see it, but Oakley sent me like 15 pairs of glasses, and it was a dream come true because I've only worn Oakley sunglasses my entire career. Ever since 2005 Christmas, I got my first pair of M frames. It was just the OG pair that I'm pretty sure that like Cal Ripken would wear back in the day. But I've gotten, Evo Shield. I've gotten AG1, did a deal. DraftKings. Cherry Bundy, I think is how you spell it. Let's see. I've gotten a free Rapsodo. Let's see what else we got. I'm pretty sure I'm like wearing something for free because that's one thing that was really cool. PSD, what is it? No joke, guys. I reached out to PSD one time. They sent me about 30 pairs of underwear. And I'm going to just shoot it straight, guys. I've been wearing those same underwear because they're super durable. They're great underwear. We're talking about underwear here on this live. I never would have thought that to be true. We do have 10 minutes, so things are getting sloppy towards the back end. But, guys, like, literally, they sent me underwear. I've gotten socks for free from, what is that, Bombas. If you guys are familiar with Bombas, really good quality socks, right? It's weird to say, but like I got excited when I got some socks for free because I don't like buying socks just like the next person. They don't like socks. They don't like getting socks or underwear for Christmas. I got them for free, right? Bogey Boys. Okay, there we go. This hat. I remember they sent me a polo, this hat, and I think a tan t-shirt, like not tan, it's like an off-white t-shirt. So like, guys, all of this stuff, what I like to say is free 99 because it didn't cost me 99 cents. It didn't cost me $10.99. It didn't cost me $100.99 for any of this stuff. It was free 99. They sent me basically a care package because I did NIL right, because I did social media right. And this was typically throughout my professional career. I was outreaching to a lot of these brands, but it really is a documentation of how you present yourself out there on social media that you're able to get brand deals. Let's go ahead and actually go through this. So NIL opportunities are expanding each and every day. If you're a high school baseball player going into college, or if you're a current college baseball player. And really the direct correlation is how well you produce great content over on social media to generate eyeballs. And NIL opportunities have looked like this for myself. I've gotten about 15 pairs of free Oakley glasses and lenses. I've gotten about like probably 4 custom sets from Evo Shield, and custom sets meaning handguard, elbow, and leg. Also got probably a dozen batting gloves when they came out with those. AG1 hooked it up one time. DraftKings hooked it up actually a couple of times. Cherry Bundy, that tart cherry juice, which is great for recovery, they hooked it up. I got a free Rapsodo. I got free PSD underwear, which, by the way, was sent to me probably like 4 years ago, and it's still really good quality. I got some Bombas socks. I got Bogey Boys. This hat was completely for free, guys. So a lot of this is what I like to refer to as free 99 because it came completely free. All I basically gave these brands was through an Instagram DM. I gave them my address and they took care of an NIL package basically sent to me. And again, guys, this is all through that consistency of great content. I posted social media for the very first time over on TikTok in 2019 and have been consistent ever since then. So that builds up that credibility with bigger brands like Oakley and DraftKings and Evo Shield, which is definitely aligned with me being a professional baseball player. They want to expand their reach, their growth through a different audience channel, and that's basically exactly what NIL opportunities are. So if you're interested in learning a little bit more about NIL, the possibilities of using social media while also developing like a pro and getting recruited, you can always click the link in my bio or comment the word college to get started. So that's, I just recorded a little bit of a short form right there, guys. But yeah, guys, if you are interested about social media, about NIL opportunities, feel free to ask those questions because it can be very scary on how to get those processes started, especially if you've never outreach to a brand before. It can be very, very difficult. So just keep that in mind. You do want to make sure that you're putting yourself in a positive frame before you even reach out to these college coaches. But yeah, guys, this is just something that I really enjoy talking about because social media is something that I do every single day. Obviously, this is a live. I love understanding like the tech side of things as well. But yeah, guys, we're about nearing the hour mark. So if you guys have any baseball related questions, feel free to ask. Yeah, guys. Ooh, great question. Let's hit it. Where is it? I'm looking for this one. All right, how do I know when to back out? All right, when do I know how to back off as a parent? And ideally, if you're a parent of a high school baseball player and your high school baseball player is serious about playing in college, ideally, when your son is in high school is a great opportunity for him to really take that ownership in everything that he's doing. If you are still holding his hand to cross the street, that is a bad dynamic for him to really learn the essential skills to build that foundation of his habits of waking up on his own alarm, making some food, posting social media content on his own behalf, so because he wants to play college baseball. He's also reaching out to these college baseball coaches, not you. So ideally, if your son is in high school, this is a great opportunity for you to back away. And a lot of you parents are especially watching this video right now, you also already understand that when you try to tell your high school teenage boy something, he doesn't necessarily listen. You know, the same exact thing could be told by a coach or a friend or someone else, and your son's going to believe that. So always keep that in mind. When your son's in high school, it's a great opportunity. It's an opportunity for him to take the bull by the horns and create that ownership for his own career. Awesome, 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 guys. We're going to keep this rocking and rolling. But guys, if you have any baseball related questions, drop them down. We're going to be going ahead and cutting off this live here in a few minutes at the top of the hour. So again, guys, if you have any of those baseball related questions, feel free to drop them down below in the chat. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom, boom, boom. All right, all right, all right. If you guys already played D1 baseball, if you guys already played professional baseball, that's cool. That's cool. I don't have to do these lives anymore. I am going to do these lives, but if you you guys don't have any baseball related questions, if you guys have already figured it out, shoot, that's awesome. Congratulations on the success. But for the 99% of people that have not played professional baseball, maybe the 93% that haven't played college baseball yet, ask a question, guys. That's what I do these lives for. I have about 2 more minutes until I'm logging off, and I do have a hard cutoff. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is do the recap right now so I don't forget. And then we'll go from there. We already did that. We already did that. All right, we'll start from here. We'll do pink. If you guys have a baseball related questions or a question at the very end, I'll go ahead and answer that. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and do this recap. All right, recapping day 11 of 50. Let's start that over again. Jeez. All right, recapping day 11 of 50, streaming every single day at 11 a.m. Eastern time. By the way, these recordings are going to be hosted over on YouTube. The very first question was really, what does success look like for my students inside the academy? And ideally, it's nothing about scholarship money. It's really about that growth of habits, of consistency, of ownership, and really making sure that they understand to take that ownership in their career. This is where ideally one of the very first things that I would be very transparent about with all of my students, or really if I was a college recruiter, is making sure that we have good work ethic in everything that we're doing. And I would make sure to be very, very clear on that. We talked about burnout and how parents will typically say that burnout will happen if my son works too hard. In my opinion, if you talk about burnout as a parent, we're not going to get along. Be ready for the fist fight. But ideally, you have to be passionate to be able to not have burnout. If you're not passionate about anything and you work harder and harder and harder, you're gonna lose that passion, and that's gonna be very difficult. And ideally, doing that extra work right here shown in the top curve is the way that we're able to really separate ourselves from the rest of the competition. If your son's quiet, it's not the biggest turnoff to these college coaches, but it is important to be somewhat vocal, especially out there on the field. We talked about basically this difference between stats and metrics. If your metrics are good and outweigh your stats of, let's say, hitting 220 in a high school season, that's not going to matter as much if you have, for example, 93 miles an hour arm velo, even if you have like a 4 ERA. If you have 105 exit velocity and you hit 220, not a big deal. It could have been just an unlucky season. The comparison, the never-ending comparison of D1 versus D2. D2, my son's going to play. D1, he might ride the bench. At the end of the day, it all comes down to performance and productivity for that specific coach and that university. We talked in great lengths about NIL opportunities. We talked about how NIL opportunities, you don't have to be the best player. You don't have to have that best metrics. You don't have the most money. You don't have to have even the most playing time to be good at NIL. And NIL opportunities is really how we conduct ourselves on social media. And this is how I was able to generate free gear from like Oakley, Evo Shield, DraftKings, AG1, some great things. So last but not least, parents, when is a good time to back off? Ideally, if your son's in high school, let your son take that ownership in his career. Again, guys, this is day 11 of 50, streaming every single day. Make sure to subscribe to me over on YouTube. Follow me over on Instagram. That way you get the bell notifications of streaming every single day at 11 a.m. Eastern time, excluding Sundays. All right. We got Red Beard. Last question. What's better to get eyes on your player, high school or travel ball? Typically speaking, travel ball will get that additional exposure compared to high school ball. High school ball, it's just that typically high school ball also follows a similar schedule as the college season, so it's going to be just difficult balancing schedules. But I will say that is an area that it's pretty common of a question, but typically travel ball will get that additional exposure if you're on the right team. If you're in the middle of North Dakota playing in a tournament on the same weekend as a WWBA in Atlanta, Georgia, if you're on that team playing in North Dakota, like congrats. But typically speaking, these college coaches are going to be in East Cobb. They're going to be in Jupiter. These are the tournaments that ultimately move the needle in the recruiting process. So with that being said, guys, I really appreciate your guys' attendance and participation. If you guys want to join in tomorrow, just make sure to subscribe. I can't stress this enough. Subscribe to us over on YouTube. And if possible, text our YouTube over to a friend, a teammate, another parent of a high school baseball player, maybe a coach, for them to be able to join in. This only grows if you guys tell other people by word of mouth. So make sure to share this with people. My goal is like by the end of the 50 days, I want to have like a consistent 30 to 50 people in here. And that only will happen if you tell a friend to tell a friend. So with that being said, guys, go tell a friend, tell that friend to tell a friend. And that's the way that this grows. Hope to see you guys on the next one.
Welcome Evan Mendoza to the program.
Cardinals third baseman Evan Mendoza.
Giving it a look, finds the railing and he tumbles over, but he made the catch. Unbelievable, Evan Mendoza.